Most entrepreneurs are obsessed with performance, more deals, more growth, more pressure. But what if the one thing holding you back is something you've been doing your entire life? Breathing. Today's conversation is going to go there because this isn't just about business, it's about how you show up inside of it. Welcome back to the Boss's Office. This is where we talk about what it really takes to lead, grow, and perform at a high level. I'm your host, Randy Vance, founder of Boss Mortgage. And if you're in that seat, you already know it can get a little lonely at the top. That's why we bring in people who are operating at a high level to talk about what works. Quick sponsor shout out to Boss Mortgage. This episode is brought to you by Boss Mortgage. At Boss Mortgage, we're not just here to get you a loan. We're here to help you build a strategy around your home. We're licensed in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, California, Arizona, Montana, and Colorado. NMLS 2547821. Whether you're buying, refinancing, or looking to create long-term wealth through real estate, we've got your back. Because at the end of the day, you should own your home like a boss. And today we've got on the show John Paul Crimi. Did I say that right?
Crimi, yes.
Crimi,
yes.
JP. He's built a business around breathwork and performance, which on the surface sounds simple, but there's a lot more to it. So JP, give us the quick version. Who are you and what do you do?
Sure. My name is John Paul Crimi. I teach breathwork. Breathwork is an umbrella term. So when we say breathwork, it's like saying fitness. You're like, I do fitness. What do you do? You know what I mean? Do you do CrossFit? Do you do yoga? Do you do Soul Cycle? So there's a lot of different types of breathwork out there. So I know them all. I've done them all. I can teach them all. But there's one in particular that I like to focus on, and that's circular breathwork, also called conscious connected breathing. And so it's the breath work for the emotional, the mental, the stress, the anxiety, right?
No shortage of that here.
No shortage of that anywhere.
Perfect. You're in the right place then.
Yeah. So most people say after doing my classes, like, oh my God, that felt like 20 years of therapy without saying a word. So that's what I'm going for. That's what I want to do. You know, everybody wants to do something transformational and everything out there is transformational, but so few things actually are transformational. Right?
Yeah.
But when you come to my class, there's a transformation that happens. There's something really powerful that happens. It's different for everybody, and it's different every time you do it. So I can't say what it's going to be for you, but I can say something's going to happen.
I have been there 2 different times, and something different happened both times.
Yes.
Rocky is what we call a breathwork virgin.
Okay.
So never done it, but we're gonna drag him down to your next one. So you're from Boston.
Yes.
What was younger John Paul like?
I grew up in Pembroke, Massachusetts, which is the South Shore of Boston.
Okay.
It's about 25 minutes outside of the city. It's the 5th most Irish town in America, surrounded by the 13 most Irish towns in America. They call it the Irish Riviera. So I just thought everybody, had red hair and got drunk and punched their brothers and sisters in the face where I grew up. I just thought that was normal, but it's not, it turns out.
What a transition.
Yes.
So did you always see yourself as an entrepreneur, or did this path kind of find you?
Yeah, even though I've had 3 businesses that I've created, I don't even use the word entrepreneur. I feels, maybe it's because it's my South Boston roots. It's like, it feels a little snobby, yuppie, as we would say on Boston. Like, that's so yuppie. You're an entrepreneur guy.
Self-employed. Would you prefer self-employed?
No, I mean, I am an entrepreneur. It's a business.
Right.
But I call it business. It's my business. But
Frenchy.
Yeah.
It's the Frenchy word.
Yeah.
So, there's always that moment where something goes from I'm interested in this to like, this could actually be a business. What was that moment for you? When did that happen?
When I first started doing the style of breathwork that I teach, it was very different than what I do. I completely rebranded it, repackaged it. And the reason I did that is because I had an awakening or a realization in one of my own sessions, which was, why doesn't everybody know about this? Everybody should know about this. This is so massively transformational. This is so life-changing. How come everybody doesn't know about it? And then I had a realization that it's been kept in these like new agey kind of woo-woo circles. Mm-hmm. And people like to do things with people who are like them. People want to work with and come do the mortgage with people who are like them, that they can relate to, that they want to spend their time with. So I thought, oh God, if somebody did this in a way that was like funny and edgy and East Coast, and they put some actual science in here and they played cool music, I think they'd have hundreds, maybe thousands of people in the room. And I was right. It just took a few years to get there.
A quick question on that. Did you start out going straight into breath work, or is this something that you fell into from, you took a class from somebody else and then you liked it and you took it, or how'd you get into it?
That's a good question.
Okay.
So I was a personal trainer. That was my first business, right? And trained a bunch of celebrities. Then I became a celebrity sober coach, sober companion, which some people know about that world, some people don't, where you help people get sober or you stay with them while they're like, I went on tour with rock stars. I went on movie sets with actors. And
wow, the stories you must have.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's been a wild ride. So, and then I found breathwork, and I found it because, Matthew Perry from Friends was a very close friend of mine, and someone had taken him to do a session with this guy, and he was kind of blown away by it. And he said to me, he was telling me about it. I thought it was nonsense. I was like, dude, that sounds like nonsense. And I had just done Tony Robbins. I had just met Tony Robbins, and he invited me to a seminar, which was life-changing. So my mind was wide open. Like, I was like, what else is out there? And Matthew was like, would you go try this breath work with this guy? And I was like, sure. So I went and did this breathing with this weird, guru kind of guy. And it was life-changing. It was absolutely life-changing. And, I started going down a rabbit hole. Like, what other breath works out there? What is breath work? Like, what is this? I couldn't find much on the internet. Started going to all these different kinds of classes and learning more and teaching more. And then people noticed, like my clients and friends were like, dude, you're a different guy all of a sudden. Are you medicated? What's going on? Like, you're happy, you're present. I'm like, I'm doing this weird breathing thing. And they're like, show me what it is. So I started showing people. And they started having these huge experiences. And one woman who owned like a studio, like a fitness studio, was like, will you come teach a class? And I was like, oh, I've never done a class before. She's like, you'd be amazing at it. And I was like, all right, I'll try it. So I did a class and I invited some friends, and Matthew Perry was one of those friends. And so he came to one of my first classes and he's like, dude, I know you want a TV show, but like, this is your gift. Like, this is what you're supposed to do. And I was like, really? The breath work? Like, I don't want to be the breath work guy. It's not.
You're the breathwork guy.
Yeah. I am now. At some point I had to embrace it.
Right.
But, that's sometimes I like to say, it's like, sometimes you have to give up your dream to step into your destiny.
That's great.
I think.
Could you say that one more time?
Sometimes you have to give up your dream to step into your destiny.
I love that.
I think this is going to be an unpopular thing, which I think is good for this podcast. A lot of people, you hear it out there all the time. Follow your dreams, right? Never give up on your dreams. I think that's horseshit. I think the only people saying that are people who hit the lottery in their dream.
Yeah. So
most people don't get there. Most people don't get that dream. If the dream is a lottery dream, like becoming a successful actor in Hollywood, there are people who are miserable in little shitty studio apartments, still hanging on to the dream. And it's like, dude, you could have found something that you were really good at and been successful at it and really happy. And so maybe sometimes you have to let go of the dream and find something you're really good at that you can be successful at. And you'll find the happiness in the success and the fulfillment of the success.
When I was 38 years old, I had finally hung up my guitar. I still love to play music.
Yeah.
I still love to sing.
Yeah.
But I was given a gift. I was a lifelong musician. I got to open for Stone Temple Pilots. That was kind of like my big I've made it moment.
Mm-hmm.
But then I realized, like, I'm not good enough. I'm good, but I'm not great.
Yeah.
In that world, you have to be great, but you also have to be lucky. And that is right around the time when I hung up my hat on that.
Yeah.
Mortgage took off. And it's like, I always wanted to be a rock star. That was like my dream growing up. I was the band choir geek growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
I could play every instrument. I can still play every instrument. I can sing pretty good. When the karaoke's flowing, I go up and people kind of look at me like, Randy, I had no idea you could sing. But I wasn't good enough. I was good, but I wasn't great. And I love that sometimes you have to give up your dreams to step into your destiny.
Yeah. And you have to get honest with yourself.
Yeah.
You had to get honest with yourself.
Yep.
Like, I'm not good enough. I'm probably never going to make it at this. So do I want to be successful at something else in life? Do I want to be happy and successful? And so letting go of that dream you can step into something else and find that fulfillment.
Where do you draw that line from a dream standpoint? Because sometimes people are going to say that, you're most people give up right before they're about to, make it. They work so hard to get there. So how do you draw the line to say, hey, you're chasing something that's just not gonna work versus you're almost there and you need to keep fighting to follow your dream?
Well, I mean, you got to look into your heart and that, but also, what else do you want in life? Do you want to have a family? Do you want to have if you want to have a family and kids and you can't support them, then maybe that's where you, switch tracks.
Right.
Okay. I cured my rock star fantasy. I got to go on tour with a bunch of bands and try and keep these guys sober. And I saw that world. And I always thought it was going to be amazing. And it's not. It's not as amazing as you think it is. You're sleeping on a bus. Even the top level guys are sleeping on a bus. And it's not all it's cracked up to be. And I think that this is true in every business. This is a good topic here, which is there's always going to be shit you have to do, even that you don't want to do, even when you're a rock star, right? Even like I've toured with some of the biggest people in the world. They had to do a ton of shit that they didn't want to do.
Yeah.
But to get on stage and play, there's a ton of shit in my business that I have to do, emails and things and whatever, like all this kind of stuff that I don't want to do. Rock stars, they have to do meet and greets. They have to do press. They have to do this. They have to do that. But they get to get on stage and they get to play for a couple hours. And that's when they get to do it. Yeah. And I feel the same way with my class. Like there's all these things that I have to do that I don't want to do. That's part of business. That's part of being successful. But when I get to do my class, that's when I get to be a rock star.
Yeah, when you've got the spotlight on you. I love that. So I want to talk just a little bit more about your brand and building a global brand. Sorry. You travel all around the world doing this.
Yeah.
So did that, the belief from your friends saying, hey, you'd be really good at being the breathwork guy. Obviously you realized at a certain moment that you could monetize this, you could make money, you could make a living doing this.
Yeah.
And then you could grow it. So how did that evolve?
Instead of looking at monetizing it, I always look at how can I help people? How can I serve more people? How can I help more people? Because this thing that I do really helps people. It helps people with stress, with anxiety, with grief, right? With depression. So I'm like, how do I help more people? The money is a byproduct. The money isn't the end game. The money isn't the goal. The goal is, let me change people's lives. Let me help people feel better, and the money will come.
It's amazing when you do the right thing,
that
the money comes, right?
Yes.
Something that I've asked on a previous podcast I would always ask people, is it money, power, fame, or legacy that drives you? And 95% of people pick money or power, right? They want money or they want control. Very few pick fame, and even fewer than that pick legacy.
It's none of those things for me.
Okay.
It's purpose and fulfillment. What I do gives me purpose, and it makes me feel fulfilled. I've gotten to work with 4 Oscar winners, 3 Grammy winners, 3 Olympic medalists, a couple billionaires. I've seen it all. I've seen the top of the top of the top of success. And those people, not all of them, but most of them, at least when I worked with them, felt empty. They hit rock bottom. So I saw that money's not going to fix it. Fame's not going to fix it. The success is not going to fix it. Purpose, fulfillment, if I have those things, then that's going to carry you through, because you're not always going to be happy. You're not always going to be on the top of the mountain. So if I have purpose, if I have fulfillment, if I have something that makes me feel good about myself and what I do, that's the key. That's the key for me.
Yeah.
So who is your customer base? Like who do you appeal to?
I get that a lot, and it's funny because everyone wants to create their avatar of their customer and all that. Mine is like most everybody, because who isn't struggling with stress, with anxiety, with depression, with grief, with all of those things? That's pretty much everybody out there. Right. That's like 99% of the people. And so my customer is everybody. For a long time it was celebrities, and I've worked with tons of celebrities. Now I want to help a stressed out housewife who's trying to manage it all, or a guy who has trauma or PTSD, or, an entrepreneur who has built this business and now they're like, okay, I got to where I thought I wanted to be, and I'm not filled up.
If everybody is your customer, then how do you really focus your business? And I know you're doing this more from a passion of fulfillment, right? Like that's the concept. But you need to attract people to the classes.
Sure.
So how are you targeting? I mean, if it's literally everybody, I mean it's literally everybody.
That's a great question, and it's kind of like it's when people are feeling they're not great. They're not their best selves, right? So breath work is this, when I first found it was this weird new agey thing. It's not as much anymore. You know, there's a lot of people in the wellness space that are teaching it, doing it, promoting it, whatever. But people don't usually do something new or try something new until they've like hit some kind of bottom.
Desperation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the touchstone to growth, right? So like somebody passes away and they're feeling that grief and they're willing to come try a breathwork class. They're so stressed out that their doctor told them they need to do something and they're willing, or they're going to see a therapist because they've got some issue, some problem going on. Therapists send all their clients to me. It's amazing. Like I cannot tell you how many therapists have sent their people to me because it helps, this thing, because it's living in our body. What people don't realize is that, trauma is passed on through the DNA. Science has proven that trauma is passed on through the DNA. So you thought you were screwed up because of your parents, and you were right. It is their fault.
Right.
It is their fault.
Totally.
It's totally their fault. But it's their parents' fault and their parents' fault and their parents' fault. Like we're just passing it on to our children. So if you know you have this, come do breath work. If you don't want to pass it on to your kids, come do breath work, So it's usually people will bring their friends when they're going through a difficult time, or their husband who's like all knotted up and won't go to a therapist and won't do anything. I have a lot of women who come to my class and they're like, my husband would never do this, but I'm going to bring him. You're a guy and he'll do it with you. And I see that husband out in the class and he's like, I can't believe she dragged me to this shit. and then I'm like, that's my guy. Like, that's the guy I'm going to crack open tonight. And they crack open and they like, in the lobby, like, can I give you a hug? And I'm like, sure. And the guy starts like, this is like a tough guy, like crying on me in the lobby. Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The first time I cried, and I had not cried in years. I had just wrapped up a divorce. I was sort of lost.
Yeah.
And I showed up and I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to give this a shot. Who knows? Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. Kind of felt a little foofy. I was like one of like 5 or 6 guys. It was a smaller class. There were maybe 90 or 100 and some odd people there.
Yeah.
And I felt really awkward. It took me a while to kind of get into it. And then when I started to really let go and just let that circular breathing, because I do want to talk about the technique that you do. Sure. I actually had Rocky join us today because I wanted to do a live example, but you were telling me in the lobby that this is something that takes a little bit more time and we'd be here for another hour. And so Rocky, you're off the hook this time, but you're definitely going to his next live class here in Central Oregon. So,
Friday night. It's Friday night, Rocky.
Okay. So yeah, just talk to us about that, about that experience, what that breath work is. Sure. And then I want to give you a little bit of a shameless plug because we don't have time to do the live breath work. Sure. If you want to tell people how they can get it, how they can get to it. I know you have some online classes as well. So we'll just open it up so you can, a little shameless self-promotion.
Well, so first off, you said there was a small class, like 90 to 100 people, which, my classes can be upwards of around 300 or 400 people, but most breathwork classes are 5 to 10 people. Like I teach people how to teach breathwork. I train people, I certify people. So that's one of the other things I do is I certify people in how to lead breathwork, coaches, therapists, yoga teachers. So that's one of the big things I do is I train other people because I can only get so far out there. So if my mission is to help as many people as I can on this planet with the incredible power of breath work, then I got to teach other people how to lead it. So that's one of the things I've created. You were asking about my ideal customer. Well, there he is, right?
Right, yeah.
He said, I was going through a tough time. I was a little lost. And I thought, whatever, I'll try breath work, right? And he came and had this experience. Mm-hmm. And it's you were open-minded. Everybody thinks they're open-minded. You'll never meet anyone on this planet who doesn't think they're open-minded. The most closed-minded people on earth think they're open-minded.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
So I'll ask people, are you open-minded? And they'll go, yeah, I'm open-minded. Well, come try the class. No, I'm good. I'm good. So you have to be willing to try something different.
Right.
If you want to go to another level in your life, whether that's in your business or your relationship or whatever it is, you have to be open-minded enough to do something different because you're not going to get anything different unless you do something different. So there's that. So you got to show up with an open mind and see what's available to you. As far as the shameless plug, I have a website, Breathe with JP, BREATHE.com. not breath with JP, breathewithjp.com. And you can go do a class. I do a class on Sundays on Zoom. People come from all over the planet on this class, different time zones, different countries. It's 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern time, and there's a 5-day replay if you can't make the live time. So I do this live class every Sunday. I was the first person to start doing breathwork online. And then I was the first person to do these trainings online. I was also the first person to start running breathwork ads online. So I got ahead of everybody else with this stuff. That was a key thing in my business.
Do you charge for like on the Sunday deal? Is that like
Yes.
is that a membership kind of thing?
Yes, and there's a good reason why I charge.
Yeah.
I would love to do it for free just to get people into my trainings and my online courses. I have other courses like the 5-day emotional detox, which is an incredible course. I would give it for free, but then people wouldn't do it. And here's why. The first 10, 15 minutes, this is why we couldn't do this with you today. First 10, 15 minutes is hard. It's uncomfortable. It's like going to the gym and working out, right? When you go to the gym and work out, you're like, this sucks. I don't want to be here. Not today. And you have to push through that. Breath work is even a little bit harder than that because there's a thing that can happen called transient hypofrontality. Part of the prefrontal cortex of your mind can turn off in this incredible way. Your mind doesn't want you to turn it off. So it fights you. You're just laying flat on the floor and breathing. You've done way harder stuff in your life than laying on the floor and breathe, right? But your mind is like, I don't like it. It's weird. This breathing pattern's uncomfortable. This sucks. So you have to be a little invested. Like, the class is $29. I have a $10 off, coupon the first time if it's your first time doing it. So it's $19. But you're like, I spent $20. I'm going to do this. If you don't spend the $20 and you're online, you can just close the computer and walk away.
Right. Yeah.
And there was a lot of people that were doing that during COVID, during the shutdown. They were doing free breathwork online because they were hobbyists. And people were just going, I tried breathwork, I didn't like it. So what happened was they went to one of those free classes. They did the first 10 minutes and they go, this sucks, I don't like it. And they quit. And then they walked away from breathwork going, I tried breathwork, I don't like it. No, you didn't. You didn't push through that tough part to get to the other side where all the magic happens, where you release and let go of your generational trauma, your stress, your anxiety, all that shit you've been carrying around. So you kind of need a little bit of investment to get there.
I just really wanted a long, uncomfortable pause. That was great. For
Great.
comedy, really.
You can have your guy edit that out, or we can leave that
No,
in.
I love. Who doesn't love a long, uncomfortable pause? Go ahead, Rocky.
So then, if you do these classes,
Yeah.
you're teaching it. So you must travel quite a bit. Are you the only one in the company?
Yes, it's me.
It's
Well,
you.
my wife helps me with the social media and the emails and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And it's funny because in the beginning, I really wanted to travel. I really wanted to be worldwide with this thing. And I was like, I had all over the place. I was doing, events for Steve Harvey, and I've done events for Tony Robbins. And I just did the biggest circular breathwork class in Switzerland of 1,000 people. And I've been all over the world doing it. And then, I had when COVID came along, I had a retreat sold out in Iceland, and I had 6 trainings sold out and all these classes sold out, and it all got wiped off the board. Everything got wiped away, and I had to refund all that money back. And I went, oh man, what am I going to do? Nobody's going to breathe in rooms. Nobody wants to do retreats or trainings, but I was already online. I knew that it would work online. I believed that it would work online, and I had my trainings online too. So I was ahead of it. People, old school teachers had told me, you can't do this online. That's not safe. You don't know what's in. I said, actually, I think it's safer online. I think people are in their safe space at home. They don't have to drive afterwards. They're not worried about somebody around them. I think it's going to be better online. And the old school teachers kind of fought me on it. So that was difficult because I had to push through that. When legends who have been doing this 10 times longer than you are telling you shouldn't do something, it's like, oh no, am I doing something wrong? And then when the shutdown happened, they all went online. So I was like, oh, you're just a hypocrite.
Right.
But that was a quick pivot.
Yeah.
I want to turn this back to business because I do love that you do this for a purpose. But at the end of the day, this is what you do for a living.
Yeah, it's how I support my family.
It's how you support your family. And I feel like I want to touch back on what we talked about earlier, right? Is where when you find the purpose, the money is a byproduct.
Yeah.
If you're doing the next right thing and you're being innovative, you're being open-minded, if you will, then you can pivot, if I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah.
you can
course.
pivot.
Pivot.
You know, to online. Now, what are some of the threats that you face in your business? Are there other imitators out there? Are there people that are taking your business?
Yeah.
And we're not going to name them by names, but I want to
We
hear.
can't. Can I name them by names? I'd love to.
You are more than welcome to name them by names. But I want to know, how do you get past or get over that adversity? And what is it like?
It's difficult. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's one of the hardest problems I've had to face in the last few years. People like, oh, flattery, imitation is the biggest form of flattery. No, it just feels like stealing.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like flattery. It just feels like someone's ripping me off. Like, it's taken a lot of years to come up with the things that I say and do in my business, because I was the first guy to take the woo-woo, the new age out of it. So to find the language that I wanted to find in the breath work to create that wasn't easy. And I've had people come along and just straight out copy it, copy everything, like copy my trainings, copy my website, copy what I say for my class, and literally like take my name out and put their name in and then post it as their class. And I'm like, wow, this is everything I've worked to write or create over the last few years. Now, they're never going to be me. You can't be me up on that stage teaching that breath work. They're not going to get to that level. I do something really special in my class, which is I allow myself to get really vulnerable. I open my heart, because what comes from the heart goes to the heart. And in that vulnerability that you sense, that you hear, that you feel in my class, it allows you to get vulnerable. And most people are not going to be able to do that. It's something really special. And I know that. But they can copy my stuff that I've created, say what I say, and then they just post it as they came up with it. And a lot of it is a younger generation thing. They don't see any problem with it. Back in my day, it would be like, hey, that's, what do they call that?
Intellectual property?
Intellectual property, or there's a term for it. God, I can't think of it. But you just copy something. Plagiarism, right? Yeah. Plagiarism, that's intellectual copy. That's all these things. And yeah, you can sue people, but then I'm caught up in a lawsuit for 3 years.
So when you're certifying, because you do certify other people, right? So you really are training potentially your competition now in different parts of the world, I imagine. But as you train up part of your competition, are you charging more of a premium for that service?
No. So if you're my student, if you come through my training and you pay me, I actually keep it pretty reasonably priced. I feel like I give my students the world. I give them a script. I tell them exactly what to say. I force them to work that script, to get good at it, to get comfortable at it. I really teach my students. I feel like you've earned some of it. And I'm really clear with my students, like, it's okay to use this. You can use all my music. You can say this. That doesn't mean you can go to my website and copy everything off my website. But there's people out there that are just straight up lying about their experience. They're saying, I've worked with this person, I've worked with that person. There was a guy, I won't say his name, I'd like to, from this other thing that he had going on from a church or whatever it was, he would get pictures with celebrities and he would hold up his book in front of them like this, and then he would cut off his hand so it looks like this celebrity is holding up his book.
Oh, it's brilliant. Why didn't I think of that?
It's unbelievable. And he's copied all of my best stuff and just passes it off as his own. So that was challenging,
That has to make it harder, especially because we all have threats that we have to face in business. But when you do a business based on fulfillment and passion, and then to have people kind of cheat in the system, and really not, you talked a lot about how much you want to help people. Well, these people aren't helping people; they're just trying to make money. And that difference kind of goes against what you set up as your business, and that has to be almost harder in that scenario than it would be for the rest of us who are in a normal business if people are trying to copy us.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I'm not going to lie. That's probably the biggest challenge I face. And there's a lot of people out there that have done it, and they've come up with really good marketing, and they're lying about their experience. I've been doing this for 15 years, and I've had the biggest sold out classes all over the world. These people are using other wellness experience. Like, they were a hula hoop instructor for 10 years, and they're counting that as, in the space. I've been in the wellness space for 10 years. It's like, yeah, you were doing hula hoop for 7 years. And
hey, keep an open mind. Well, listen, before we run out of time, I got some rapid fire questions for you. So let's keep it quick. Okay. Coffee or breath work first thing in the morning?
Breath work.
Okay.
Then coffee.
Then coffee. All right. Biggest misconception about what you do?
That it's like a relaxing meditation. You know, it's more like a workout. And then afterwards, it's the meditation comes in. What you think meditation should be, that's what happens after breath work. But the breath work itself, the actual breath work, is like a workout.
One thing entrepreneurs should stop doing.
Beating themselves up all the time. Like I always say, work hard on yourself, but don't be hard on yourself. And remember that like where you are today is where you probably wanted to be 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So take a moment, take a breath. See what I did there?
I do.
Take a breath and go like, hey, can I just enjoy where I am today? Like I worked really hard to get here, but I'm already on to the next thing. Can I stop, take a moment, and then just enjoy this?
So that answers my next question. One thing they should start doing today is take a breath. All right. So Boston and everywhere else that you've lived, where feels like home the most?
I have this, right now, Bend, Oregon is home, and it's a beautiful place, and my children love it, and my wife loves it, and I love it, and the people here are amazing. But I have this fantasy that Italy is my home. Like, I want to just walk out, like, and just...
Florence, Lake Como.
Florence, Lake Como, all of it. Yes, all of Italy is my home. I really like Japan, too. I don't think that's a home, but I think that's, like, a place that I want to spend more time in.
So I'm going to get real deep with you before we close this out.
Oh.
For someone listening right now who's stressed to the max, they're pushing, they're chasing that next level, what's one thing they can do today to start feeling better and performing better?
I would say just take a moment and try to get grateful for what you have. Focus on what you have right now in this moment. You know, if you can just stop and close your eyes and get grateful on what you have in your life, then that's going to expand, because whatever you focus on expands, right? So if I focus on all the good things that have happened to me, happened in my life, that are happening right now, that I have in my life, that fill my heart up, then that's going to expand. You know, if I'm always chasing something outside of myself or the next thing, I'm never going to be fulfilled. I'm never going to be truly happy. Can I just stand still for a moment and be grateful for what I have?
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, this one was a little different, but honestly, probably one that we all needed. We spend a lot of time building businesses and not a lot of time building ourselves. So if you got something out of this, share it with someone who needs it. And if you're out there carrying the weight, trying to lead at a high level, just remember you're not the only one doing it. This is the boss's office because, yeah, it can get lonely at the top, but it doesn't have to be. Thanks again, man.
Thanks for having me.